Well, it seems director Taika Waititi will no longer be heading up Thor 5, as it's being reported that Marvel is, quote, on the hunt for a new director. Taika Waititi gained major prominence with the success of Thor Ragnarok, but Thor Love and Thunder did not receive the same critical acclaim. Perhaps the less than optimal success of Love and Thunder has something to do with Marvel's decision to seek out a different director. Taika Waititi was a talented filmmaker, writer, and actor well before the release of Thor Ragnarok. And regardless of how you feel about Love and Thunder, Waititi is a good filmmaker. He wrote and directed What We Do in the Shadows, Boy, worked on The In-Betweeners, and Flight of the Conchords. He's done stuff. Good stuff. Obviously, what he did with Thor Ragnarok made him more of a household name, but he was doing good stuff before and has done good stuff since, such as Jojo Rabbit. That being said, Thor Love and Thunder was not a good movie. A lot of people didn't like it. So Thor Ragnarok was a pretty good take on the character of Thor. The movie was genuinely funny at times, the story was good, and as a self-contained film, it was pretty solid. Unique, creative, whatever, you get it. But it was serious when it needed to be, and never forgot who the hero was. Thor was kind of a goof, but he was still the hero. He's still worthy to possess the power of Thor, and he always tries to do the right thing, even though he's kind of a goober. Love and Thunder, on the other hand, almost seemed like it was trying a little too hard to be Ragnarok, without remembering why people loved Ragnarok in the first place. Thor was basically a joke the entire film, so when it was time to get serious, it was hard to tonally make that transition. It's like with the play scene from Ragnarok in the beginning with Matt Damon and Luke Hemsworth. It's funny. It's funny not only because it's Matt Damon and Luke Hemsworth, but also because we, the viewer, know what actually happened with Loki in Dark World, so we know it's total crap. However, when Thor shows up, it very seamlessly transitions back to serious when Thor explains that the realm is in ruin and we find out Odin is about to die and stuff. So it works, but in Love and Thunder, when they try to do the play thing again, it's not funny. Maybe because it was a repeated joke, or maybe because the movie couldn't move from dark to funny as well because, well, it was just never dark. Either way, that's kind of what I mean. I'm not going to start nitpicking the movie, but Love and Thunder basically went all in on the jokes, but without any of the heart. The only real difference in the making of those films was the fact that Taika Waititi only directed Thor Ragnarok, but with Love and Thunder, Waititi directed and wrote the film. This may not seem like a big deal, but it definitely could be. As I've stated before in previous videos, Marvel has shown time and time again that they have no real understanding of the creative process, especially in the last few years. This edit I'm throwing up on the screen illustrates the lack of creative experience at Marvel currently. Writers and directors who have little to no experience being charged with heading up shows and films with budgets in the hundreds of millions. Why hire these people? Well, I think it's pretty clear with what we've seen coming out of Marvel in the last few years that executives would like to have as much control over these productions as possible. And by hiring creatives with little to no experience, you create an environment where these so-called creatives will do whatever the executives want and are just grateful for their so-called shot. That's why you had filmmakers like Edgar Wright and Scott Derrickson walk away from Marvel. Creative differences, that's what they like to say, right? I'd say it's likely talented creators who are unwilling to stifle their creative process. But what does this have to do with Taika Waititi? Well, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of the creative process. Marvel's thinking was probably, okay, this guy killed it with directing Ragnarok, let's let him direct the next one, and what the hell, why not write it too? So Waititi inevitably ends up writing and directing Love and Thunder, and this is what we get. And just like they think anybody can write and direct a multi-million-dollar movie, they think if he can direct it, he can write it. Phase 4 basically proves that not just anybody can make a Marvel movie. Writing, directing, these are skilled trades in Hollywood. Trades that take years to develop and perfect. It's par for the course in terms of Disney that they would assume if they threw enough money at some random guy and micromanaged the hell out of them, a good movie would come out of it. But that's so far from the case. And even though Taika Waititi is an incredibly talented filmmaker, writing and directing is not the same thing, and his writing credits are not the same as his directing credits. He mostly writes comedy, so it's not surprising that he leaned into what he knows when writing Thor Love and Thunder. It's just the end product was not up to the standard it needed to be. When in reality, if he had simply directed the film, it may have been a different story. However, there could definitely be more to this story. Footage of Waititi on the set of Thor: Love and Thunder shows, frankly, a goofball. Taika running around making jokes, being loud, seemingly not taking his role very seriously. It's possible that the success of Thor Ragnarok went to his head, and he thought he couldn't fail and just winged it. Chris Hemsworth was even quoted as saying the following: "I think we just had too much fun. It just became too silly. It's always hard being in the center of it and having any real perspective," end quote. Either way, it seems Marvel is looking for a new director to head up Thor 5. With a little self-reflection on Marvel's part, I'm sure they could come to the conclusion that it was less Taika Waititi's fault and more their own that movie failed, but that's asking a bit much of an executive. I really love making these and I'd like to keep making them, so please subscribe and like the video. If you love this sort of content, consider becoming a member. See you in the next one.